So one thing interesting. Oh, okay. So one thing, as we're talking about the Mazzaroth and how you just brought up, you know, with the what you just said here, I'm going to get something from Mosiah. I think it's chapter 3 or 4, and we can look at it that I think relates to this, which is. There's a couple there's a little tricky part in there, but I think also it has to do with some of the, I don't know if you looked at the things with the inclusive versus exclusive time yet.
I haven't had time yet.
Okay,
but I'm
well,
going
we
to.
can go, so we can do whatever you want. Because I know you said that video is kind of bothering you some. So we can go over that, or we can go over some other things, or we can go over some things that I got today, or things that you got. I whatever you want. I'm pretty open.
Cool. Well, if you want to lead, I will come with you because I enjoy talking about this stuff with you.
Okay. All right. Well, we're on this subject, so let's do this. Fact here. let me first. I want to show you this before we get into some of the other things, because this is something God gave me last night while I was watching these things, which I think you'll like. So let me share that screen. That okay. All right. So Alma. In fact, I shared a portion of this earlier today. I don't know if you saw my post about flat earthers.
I did.
Oh, well,
Yep.
so it's on that same verse, which I actually don't remember what verse number it is. There it is. Okay. But that's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
You know, the reason I did that is there's people who claim to believe the Book of Mormon and believe in the flat earth. In fact, there's another one here. I'm going to get a little sidetracked. Let me show you the other one that I have that goes with flat earth from the Book of Mormon. Oh, everybody can see. This is a good quote. This is, since it's on my screen, I'll just read it real quick. It's kind of like nothing to do with the subject, but since it's here, the incident, it's Brigham Young telling this president, U.S. president, that he started polygamy.
Yeah.
Not Joseph Smith.
Oh, yeah.
That's a wonderful quote. And I have some other ones that go along with that there. But anyway, so everybody can see it. Brigham Young, not Joseph Smith. All right, so let's go to...
It's funny how when they're not telling the truth, their stories have multiple angles and don't match each other.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
nothing from Brigham Young matches each other. That's why everybody argues with each other about what should be done, is because their statements contradict each other. That even happens with today LDS leaders.
Yep, totally.
It's because they're just giving their own personal opinion and going against scriptures. But anyways, okay. So just going off this other sidetrack on flat earth, here's a few that I have found myself. Here's the one that I just, found last night. Here's the one I had before, though. In Helaman 12, it's talking about when the earth stood still. Now, it clarifies in here more what's going on than how it was observed or talked about in Joshua. Hebrew language, even English language, it's less so this way, especially with our Hellenistic culture. The Hebrew language has to do with how things look, not how they necessarily are actually working. I mean, even English is like that for things that we don't understand, like on tons of things. But anyways, yea, and if he say unto the earth, move, oh wait, it moveth. Yea, if he say unto the earth, thou shalt go back, that it lengthen out the day for many hours. So go back, that means it moved, or it spinned backwards, right? To lengthen out the day.
Yeah.
And thus, according to his word, the earth goeth back, and it appeareth unto man that the sun standeth still, which is how it's recorded in Joshua. Yea, And behold, this is so, for surely the earth that moveth, and not the sun. And part of the reason this is goes against the flat earth theory is the flat earth theory says the earth stays still and the sun and the moon are the ones that are moving. The earth does not. And this right here says otherwise. And I know a lot of people that are flat earthers that believe the Book of Mormon. When I show them this, they don't know what to say. They're just like, I don't know what to say. At least they're honest about it, right? So instead of trying to, at least some are honest, some try to explain it away. But this one shows another one, right? The earth and its motion. So now this goes with the Mazzaroth that we're looking into right now also. So let me stop sharing that screen and share the other one. And this is cool. Of course, everything I share is cool, right?
That's right.
I'm not full of myself. Of course, if I'm not full of myself, who else would I be full of?
Right? Who else is in there?
Yeah, what else would be there?
And it's hard to be motivated to do this if it's not fun for you. So, ta-da!
Yeah, well, I want to know the truth. And so I put in the effort, okay? But then God gives me things after I put in the effort. This is not me. But anyways. Okay, so Alma 30, you're probably aware this is an Antichrist, and he's asking for signs.
Yeah.
And Alma responds, thou hast signs enough. Will ye tempt your God? Which, that's the commandment not to tempt God, and that's what he's doing, asking for. Will you say, show unto me a sign when you have the testimony of all thy brethren, and also the holy prophets? The scriptures are laid before thee. Yea, all the things denote that there is a God. All things denote there is a God. Oops. I don't like it when they do that. Yea, even the earth and all the things upon the face of it. And this is great. And so this part right here we just talked about, and its motion, right? That goes against the flat earth, but keep that motion in mind. And yea, and also the planets, we'll talk about that in a minute, which move in the regular form, and we'll talk about both those two words, which do witness that there is a supreme creator. Okay, now, I can see if I can find it, but Joseph Smith has multiple times interchangeably used planets and stars. So what I'm getting at, I'm going to change this a little bit, going off of what Joseph Smith did, okay? Yea, the earth and its motion, yea, also the stars or constellations,
right,
which move in their regular. Now we can look up regular, and I haven't done this yet because I actually got this morning, or when I should have been sleeping. So I haven't looked at the dictionary yet, so we can do this together. But regular, I'm going to change to original, and we can maybe get into the details on that in a minute. Form, instead of form, and put shape. Witness that they're supreme creator. So the constellations, in their original shape, witness that there's a supreme creator, which is something we've been looking into. Now this is interesting. Now the Earth's motion also, along with that, testifies that there's the creator. Now it's interesting, like we just talked about just before the recorded starting, Aries is the sign that we'd be in during Passover, and that sign is about Passover.
Yeah.
Where Virgo is, and I know people disagree with me, but Christ was born in the fall. The Book of Mormon says that too, in Mosiah 2-5, and we can look at that if you want. But Virgo is when? The fall. And Virgo, virgin, which is a bad translation from Alma, I'm probably saying that, Alma, A-L-M-A-H. So not Alma like that was just talking, but A-M. Almah. And we can look at it. I have notes on that if you want. But a better translation is a woman of birth-giving age or childbearing age. And Virgo is a woman with a child that was just born, childbearing age.
Yeah.
And so I just think that's wonderful. And this is one, I know I just mentioned it, but I'm going to say it again now. I need to look at Cancer, because that's when I believe when Shavuot Pentecost will be, to see if its signs go along during that time. Because Job brings out how these stars are used to tell the seasons. And thus the new year, which is something I've always believed when I started doing the lunar Sabbath. Because in Genesis, what is it, 1:14? We can go look it up if you want. It says, you know, the sun, moon, and stars are for the Moedim. But most of the lunar Sabbaths people, or even those who like to keep the feast, I hear hardly any of them talking about the stars. It's only been recently I've been starting to see stuff.
And for me, one thing, when it talks about all things testify of God, right? That idea, to have anything that he specifically created be left out of the conversation has always felt empty. That we can't just be talking about the sun rising. He created the stars. He created, right, the shape of the plants and all the intricacy of cell structure. And so to be diving into all of those things, it's been really frustrating that the stars have been kind of left out for so long. So it's really interesting to me that now there's resources that are showing that this has always been testifying of Christ and his ministry.
I agree.
I'm so excited about learning about all this. I feel like I've drowned myself in it, and yet I need to go back and like take notes and, you know, really like connect it in with the scriptures and in my study better. But I feel like I've done that preliminary where, you know, it tastes so good.
Oh yeah, like I couldn't fall asleep because I was watching that series.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm gonna make sure I put that in the notes so others can see it. So hold on, I'm gonna put it in the chat. Because I saw other connections too that it helped me out with. So it's good, and I haven't even finished yet, and I want to go deeper into it as I get time, because I have a deadline to finish a post this week, because I believe Shavuot is Friday. Well, this when I'm celebrating it is this coming Friday, because I've said for a while I don't know how to tell when the new year is. I still don't, but I think I'm getting closer with some of these recent studies. But time coming. But for when I started the year this year, anyways, Shavuot's on this Friday, and the post I want to do has to do with Torah, and that has to, or the law, that's a perfect timing for it. So I need to finish that this week. It's easier to study than it is to write things.
I understand.
Anyways, well, it's just that reminds me. So Mosiah 2-5, it was given during the fall tabernacles, and we can go into why I believe that is, but the main idea is that the fall feasts are about the coming of Christ, the coming King, living with him. And so I don't know how much of this you want to go read and see that. We can read the whole thing and talk about things. In fact, even here, offering in the flocks for the burnt offerings, we're supposed to do that. Of course, we can't right now because we don't have the priesthood. But anyways, that's another subject. Let me go get my notes. But in Torah, it states that it's supposed to be given for Feast of Tabernacles. Where's my notes on that?
It's up above your arrow. I see it.
Yeah, there we go. So those are some notes I have on that right now. But here's some verses right here. It states that those sacrifices are for tabernacles.
Yep.
And so, because I know a lot of people will take this and I mean, oh, it's Passover. Because the firstling of their flocks. But Passover is not the only one that does that. And so we can go through this, but I did want to bring up one for you that deals with the gospel being preached to everyone. So here, let me share it again, and let me see if I can find it. I think it's in 3 or 4. Let's see. Let's try every. Okay. So, and more I say unto you, the time shall come when the knowledge of the Savior shall spread throughout every nation, kindred, tongue, and people. So up here, let's see. And the God sent his holy prophets among all the children of men, to declare these things to every kindred, nation, tongue, and thereby whosoever shall believe that Christ shall come, the same shall receive remission of their sins, rejoice with exceedingly great joy, even as though he had already come. So here is saying he sent his holy prophets among all the children of men, not some, but all.
Yeah.
Which we both know the LDS Church kind of teaches something different, right?
Right. Well, and also that the prophets are among. So that would mean like that there's a lot of prophets.
Oh yeah.
And they're in it with the people instead of that their influence is with people, but that they are like multiple of them spread out.
Yeah. So you'll dig this. Tanakh and Book of Mormon in some other spots, actually. So here's some great verses from the Book of Mormon for you.
Mm-hmm.
Enos 1:2, exceedingly many prophets. I think that's more than 15. First Nephi 1:4, many prophets. That one could be debatable what that number is, right? But anyways, many prophets, many prophets, many prophets. So these ones could be somewhat debatable. How many is many? But I personally don't think 15 means many. But exceedingly many prophets, that definitely doesn't fit 15 in my opinion. And then you can come here, 1 Kings 18:4. So when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord, that I can't say that name, took 100 prophets and hid them by 50 in a cave. So that's like what was left over.
So this fits this idea.
After Jezebel cut off the prophets, meaning this cut off, that means killed. And it gets into Daniel. I mean, because in Daniel's 70-week prophecy, it talks about how the Messiah was cut off. It means killed.
Right. Yeah, I think this fits really well with this idea that we weren't taught a correct meaning of what a prophet is. And I remember reading somewhere or hearing somewhere that, the idea is that each of us could potentially be a prophet, right? So that we can.
Well, he wants us. God actually wants all of us to be prophets. In fact, I think is it Numbers. Oh yeah, so this is it. So this is Numbers. This is after Moses called 70 to help him out, so that way he wasn't doing everything himself. And those 70 started prophesying, but there were others back in the camp that started prophesying, and they were gone while Moses was gone with this other group. And someone came to Moses and said, there are these people prophesying. You should tell them to stop. And Moses is like, everybody should be a prophet.
Yeah. And so I feel like it would help a lot, especially with all these discussions about what's going on in history and whether or not certain people are doing the right thing when they're leading an organization. If we just better understood what prophet means, that the intention of God is to have as many of us who will follow him and seek his seek
For
him,
sure.
right?
So there's a couple parts to that, because in the book of Revelations, which Joseph Smith quotes on this, he brings out how a prophet is someone that has not a belief, a testimony in Jesus Christ. So I know a lot of churches will go up and say, people will say, I know, I don't know, I believe. I haven't seen him. I don't know. I strongly believe, but I don't know. And we can get into this, but the Book of Mormon has examples how seeing is knowing. But so anyways, I believe. I don't know. And I know I'll probably get some people chew me out for that wording, but I think that wording's more scriptural than just going up and saying you know them because you believe in them. And then go off and go break his commandments. So that there, what is it? 1 John, 2 John. Hold on. Where's the one I want? There we go. Oh, 1 John 2. Thereby we do know that we know him, if we keep his commandments. And he that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments, is a liar. And the truth is not in him. But whosoever keepeth his word, in him verily is the love of God perfected. Hereby know ye that ye are in him, and he saith he abide in him, ought himself also walk, as even as he walked. Even as he walked. And how did he walk? He walked keeping Torah.
Yep.
This is not walk as he taught or said, as he walked.
Yeah.
People who say New Testament says you don't need Torah today don't understand it. Even as he walked. Sorry, I'm really emphasizing that. Sorry.
Sorry about that. Was that your computer or my computer?
I don't know. I heard a little feedback. I just ignored it.
Okay, fixed it. All right.
Oh, and another thing before I forget, you were saying how you feel empty when you're only getting part of the picture. I can understand that. Yeah. I like getting into the deeper details myself, but this also goes along with how someone told you that, you know, Joseph Smith didn't say it, so they're not going to do it. Well, we're supposed to live by not every word of Joseph Smith. We're supposed to live by every word that cometh out of the mouth of God.
That's right.
And so that's all revelations, past, present, and future. Not just the ones that came through your leader that you only want to listen to.
That's right.
But all. But call me crazy. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't think so. But we have to understand it all and keep it all in mind to really understand it. That's redundant. But I see the plan of salvation in the scriptures as a hologram. if you really understand it, you'll see a faint image of the whole in the one little piece that you're looking at, because they're all so interconnected with each other. But,
Yeah.
That's me.
Right.
So, people learn the Mazzaroth. I started looking into it because of my belief in the lunar Sabbath and the high holidays, and trying to figure out when the year actually starts. And in Genesis 1:14, it says, use sun, moon, and stars. And I had kind of a slow start finding things, but after a little while, I started, now I have too much, so it'll keep me busy for quite a while now. But that one I put in the chat is like really good. And then you can put the one that you were talking about earlier, the one with the 5-part, because that one's really good too, if you have it handy. I'm going to put these in the description when this goes up on YouTube.
Awesome.
So others can get it. But I don't know. Do you think I was reading into the Alma 30 verse, or do you think I was actually going off of what it was saying? Because I do try to be careful, and I can see how some people might think I read into it, but I had reasons for doing what I did. Oh yeah, I was good. We could go look at the dictionary on some of that stuff.
Yeah, we can do that. I agreed with you. It felt like that was just more of a clear, I felt like it was just really clear. I didn't see any kind of deviation there.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Some of that thinking I did without actually.
Oh, are you talking about where you switch star and planet, or are you talking about a different one?
Well, yeah, the star and planet, I'm not too worried about that. I can find the quote from Joseph Smith where he interchanged stars and planets, but I was more talking about, because I did kind of change the word regular and put original.
Oh, I had a thought on that. Yeah, so I would be really interested in the definition of regular, because it's so similar to the word regulate, which implies that it's by design and that it's organized.
That's a good point, because that kind of goes with what I said.
Yeah, totally. So it doesn't mean normal. It means that it's actually organized to be that way, and so it will stay that way.
Yeah. Okay. So conformed to a rule, agreeable to established rule or law. So that's kind of like how it was first put. So that kind of goes with the original. Prescribed mode, established customary forms, customary, or kind of the custom before they get perverted.
Right.
Governed. Look at this. In attending divine worship, which these are used to help determine. Oh, and that reminds me. So I know you're looking into the lunar Sabbath. So one thing about the lunar Sabbath is the 12 months, right?
Right.
And then each month has 4 weeks, plus the non-counting days, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting. So that series, what was it? Scorpion, Sting of the Scorpion, I think it was.
Yeah.
It talks about how each zodiac has 1 main sign and 3 complementary. So each one has 4 times that by 12, you get 48. And like in the lunar solar calendar and star, I should add that, but anyways, no one really says that. There's
So
48. There's 48 weeks.
Have you seen how they calculate deacons? Because I found a long time ago, which whatever that means, long, where you could actually, instead of looking at you were being born under a certain constellation, one of the 12, you could actually narrow it down to the deacon, and they actually divide the month under the constellation by 3. So it's almost like there's the ruling concept. So Aries is the ram and all of what that represents. but
Oh,
then
so
then it's
they're
divided.
dividing into three instead of four.
Yeah, that's
So
what
but
they're
that's
doing with.
astrology, and actually we're not supposed to do that. Um,
Well,
Astrology
it
is a
was a
perversion of the Mazzaroth.
okay.
Because you're talking
I'm just
about when we were born, what sign you were born under. That's
yeah,
astrology.
yeah.
Yeah, that and people do that to find out what your future is going to be, and we're not supposed to be doing that.
Well, there's a million different things that people do with reading into the stars, right?
Sure, sure,
But I was just saying the way they organize the deacons to know like which ones over the sky, it's a third of the time
sure,
for
sure.
each.
But what I'm kind of getting at there, you're using a bad system and bringing how a bad system pervert. I mean, not pervert, but I guess maybe perversion. But they divide it into three, and
Yeah.
I don't know if we. So I haven't looked at a star map to see if they divide up equally into four sections. So it's just a thought that I have
Okay.
because the 48 constellations and the 48 weeks. Now, is that me just doing a correlation because the number is the same, or is there really something there? I don't know. I just find it curious. 48 weeks, 48 constellations in a year.
Yeah. It's interesting for sure.
Does it mean anything? I don't know yet. I just started really looking into that stuff. So I don't have an answer. I just have an observation.
Mhm.
Okay, so back to this. Regular in geometry, well, we're not dealing, well, you know, geometry may fit in this case because it's up in the skies in the circle, right? And that kind of goes with geometry.
Hmm.
A regular figure, oh, look at that. And like regular form is a figure or a shape. So maybe is whose sides and angles are equal as a square, cube, or equilateral triangle. He, that's interesting with what I was just saying about the 48 weeks.
Yeah.
And now this is saying a regular figure slash possibly form. We're going to have to go look up form, right? That's just curious, just the timing. That's, I think, worth something I'm going to look more into anyways.
Mhm.
Instituted or initiated according to established forms or discipline as a regular physician. Instituted or initiated, that kind of goes with the original that we were thinking about.
Mhm.
Methodically, orderly, indulgence. This makes me think of the Catholic system, sorry.
Mhm.
Periodical. Periodical, because there's a new one, or at least new main one every moon.
Yep.
Well, give or take right now because of the change, but used to be when they were created, right?
Yeah.
Prefer pursued with uniformity or steadiness. Huh? That I think that would apply, right?
Yep.
Belonging to Masonic order. Well, I don't think that one applies. I don't think the monastery apply. Well, no, probably not. Not that one. Okay, so that was interesting. Those were, I think, and then you had what word did you have that you said kind of went with it too?
So regulate,
Oh
like
yeah,
it was
regular.
established, regulated instead of regular. It's like regulate.
Oh yeah, they're related. Not to do another reg word.
Mhm.
To adjust by rule, method, regulate weights and measures. Well, measures. I mean, we're supposed to use the Zodiac or the Mazzaroth to know the seasons to measure according to that.
Yep.
And so I
Yeah.
believe that we're supposed to be using these signs to determine the new year. I have a couple thoughts on it. I don't know if it's right yet or not, but I mean, I do think how, in some form or manner, it has to do with these signs.
Mhm.
regulate our moral conduct. Well, that's interesting because the stars help it because they're teaching it. In fact, I don't know if you got to the video in that series, but in one of the earlier videos, it talked about how Christ's name, Yeshua, was in the stars or is in the stars.
Yeah, I heard that. He did.
Which that's one of the, I didn't know that one, so that's a new, I know a couple places, because I don't know how much you know this, but one of the beefs that non-believers have with the Book of Mormon is that the Book of Mormon has Yeshua's name before he was born. And there's a couple places in the Tanakh that actually has it that people just don't study and know where they are. But this is a new one. This one's in the stars from Adam. And so it really just like you just are finding something to argue with because you just don't know how things are.
Yeah.
Just like the guy with that video arguing against the lunar Sabbath calendar, because he was doing exclusive time, but Hebrew time is inclusive, and he's just using his own false ideas to show that something's true is false. Okay, anyways, to put an order to, yeah, I that kind of goes with this, right? To subject rules, restrictions. I don't think that one applies too much. And then the other one was form, I think it was. So shape or external appearance of a body. That goes along with the constellations.
Yep.
Arranging particulars, yeah, that would go with the constellation. A model.
Yep.
Pattern.
Okay.
I don't know how drought would do that, but maybe that's a real old word that I don't know what that means back then. So I think that is not having water.
I think they mean like past tense, like drawn.
That could be. That could be an old way of saying that, maybe. Anyways, I don't think the beauty one would go with that one in
You
this
don't think the
context.
splendor of his plan, the beauty of his plan?
Well, okay, so the plan is beauty, so I would, okay, I can go with that because the stars do have his plan. So I can
Okay.
see that one now that you bring that one out. I
Okay.
didn't see it at first.
All right.
Oh, look, regularity,
Yeah.
external appearance. Oh, ritual. That goes along because if
Prescribed.
the high holidays are helped determined by these things, so that public
And
forms of worship. Sorry,
the
what'd you say?
prescribed mode, so the different seasons of the history of the earth and the people on it, it's prescribed how this story is going to play out. Right? So that's one of the beautiful things about the
No,
stars.
yeah,
It's not just talking about stuff that is currently happening, but you can see what's coming.
yeah. In one of the videos, and he talked about a couple examples of that.
Yeah.
There's probably more in that. I was thinking more alongs of the high holidays because of the ritual part, but what you're bringing out is true also.
Yeah.
Ceremony, yeah, there's ceremonies that go along with the seasons that they determine. Determined, or just the shape, likeness. Oh, form of government. Yeah, because it's governing when we should do the high holidays.
Yep.
In fact, the numbers 12 and 24 have to do with government. That's why there's the 12 apostles, because they're getting them into the government, and then the 24 with the ones on the with the Lehites, because there's the 12 and the 24 together. But anyways.
Yeah.
Component part, yeah, manner of arrangement of component parts, yeah, that goes with the constellations. A long seat, a bench without a back. I don't see how that one applies, and I don't get that one at all. Oh, apparently a rank of students. I would have never guessed that one. I don't know my dictionary. Let's see, or okay. A mole. Oh, okay. That just goes along with shape.
Yeah.
Putting things together, composed, how they're put together, that could apply, right? Oh, to make or cause it exist, God created them.
That's right.
To shape or mold, okay. To plan. Oh, look at that. I wouldn't have put that with form, but that makes sense. And like you said, it has his plan in the stars. To arrange, the just. I wouldn't go with the just. In this context, anyway. Contrive, invent. Well, God invented them, so maybe. To make, he made them. Frame, settle. Okay, make the shape. Discipline. Combine, yeah, multiple stars. Make, establish. Compile, sure. Constitute. Well, not grammar and act. Okay, anyways, I don't know another word to look up. I can see if I can find the quote where Joseph Smith is using the stars and planets interchangeably. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Okay, it might be somewhere in here. So hold on, let me share here. Hopefully it's one of these. We'll see. Not that one. Not. Oh, when these here's one. When these stars return to the place where they were taken from, it will cause the earth to reel to and fro. Not that the planets, see, he interchangeably, star, planets, will come squarely against each other. In such cases, both planets will be broken to pieces, but in their rolling motion, they will come together where they were taken from, which will cause the earth to reel and to fro. So we can talk about that quote if you want, but the main part I want to bring out is how he interchangeably used stars and planets, like I did when I was retranslating that Alma 30 verse.
Interesting. I read that differently, but it's also somebody else quoting Joseph. It's not like Joseph wrote it down, but I read what's written there, not that they're interchangeable, but that he's saying one thing is going to happen, and he's saying that doesn't mean this other thing is going to happen, but that he's going back to like what is going to happen.
Okay, so we can get into it if you're willing to.
I don't. If you want to, you can, but I don't see the need because I don't depend a lot on other people quoting other people, you know?
Well, I mean, that's pretty much most of the quotes we have from a lot of people, actually.
I know, right?
I do believe that there's a lot of quotes from Joseph Smith that aren't authentic. I do believe this one's authentic, or at least close to authentic, partly because of some other things I believe. But so he's talking about an event that's going to happen in the future when the earth is going to be tumbling around, reeling to and fro. And so he says, when these stars return to the place where they were taken from, And so I will interject Saturn, Venus, and Mars into that. And I can show you why I believe that if you want, or we can just stick there. But whatever these, there's something coming back, okay? So that part is for sure. So the other parts that I may be reading into it, but I don't, because I know the subject, or I know a subject that I'm using to do that with. Where they were taken from, it will cause the earth to reel and fro. Okay, so these stars are going to cause the earth to reel to and fro, right? These stars are going to do it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Not that the planets, so I'm saying this is another way, he's interchanging those two words, will come squarely against each other. In such cases, both planets, so he's talking about before stars coming back, and now he's saying planets are moving. Both planets will be broken to pieces, but we're in rolling motion. So now he's talking about reeling to and fro. They will come together where they were taken from, which will cause the earth to reel to and fro. So here's where he talks about the planets. He uses the reel to and fro twice, and on the stars once. I see this as one event, and probably we could probably break it down into a chiasm of AB, AB, and maybe AB. He's
Do you
just
have a
restating
resource?
the same thing multiple times.
So do you have a resource for the idea that it's Venus and Saturn, and what was the other one?
Yeah, Saturn, Venus, and Mars. Yeah, I do.
That would be cool to see.
So I have a resource page on that. And, but I'll give you, here's a link. But for a quick intro, and I'm happy to get more into it, I'm gonna, hold on. This is my probably favorite intro video for it. Hopefully it comes. Okay. So there's a couple titles in the little video I don't agree with, but overall I believe with the theory. They're some of the big people in it all disagree on various points, but overall agree on things. Here, I'm going to give you this. This is, if you really want to get into it, this is homework for you. Not that commercial, right? That's. I want you to watch commercials.
Right?
But the Symbols of an Ancient Alien Sky is really good, and where did the thing? Oh, there it is. I'll stop share. That's another good one. But oh, now I know this won't help you, but I found it on the LDS Conference Center. I'll just share my whole screen instead of going back and forth. I do know we both believe the LDS Church is in apostasy, so this does not necessarily prove anything, okay? In fact, if anything, I think they're using it the wrong way, to be honest. But I do believe the symbol is correct. So I read an article of someone calling the conference center the building in Lehi's vision and Nephi's vision, the building without a foundation, right? The great and abominable.
Yeah.
And so they put this picture up there, and to me, it was not a very well put together article, and they were just finding things to push their bias. People do that all the time. But the reason I liked reading that article was this image right here. This is when I saw this. So there's can you see my mouse?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so there's the triangle.
Yep.
There's the crescent, and there's 9 there, just FYI. Like the 9 planets. Depending on what science says at the current day, whenever you watch this, it goes back and forth, right? Anyways, there's a circle. There's blue in the middle with water, which is all that ties into this. But it's that symbol. Also, you look here. 1, 2, 3. Now, let me get... Where did I put it? Oh, here. I believe Joseph Smith drew that picture. 1, 2, 3. So it's called the Philo-Dibble diagram. Anyways, it's right there. 1, 2, 3. Now, here's something else I saw when I got there. It's all over this building, but they don't talk about it. Of course, they don't talk about anything really. So, have you been there?
I have.
Okay,
It
so
was before all the grass was there, but they had the trees started.
yeah. Okay, so here's a picture someone did that kind of shows that, what I just kind of pointed out by overlaying the pictures. I didn't draw the picture. So I found the Son of Man, which is this figure right here. And if you, and also it's interesting that the crescent that's here, it's at the 11th hour. If you get into Egypt stuff, this is so funny. With I mostly believe the Book of Abraham. There's some things I've seen that made me wonder, but it's not an area I focus on. But it's interesting. The Egyptologists will say that it's not translated right, but you know what? They don't translating the things that they see correctly themselves. In fact, if they did, people will call them crazy, because there are documents that talk about how the time or a crescent on the ancient sun, which is Saturn, the ancient dark sun is Saturn, goes backwards. It goes counterclockwise. And they can't explain it. So they just change it so that way it's not even what it's actually saying, so people don't think that they're crazy. But midnight is at the bottom, right there. And this crescent is just before midnight, which is where we're at, right? Anyways, so there's that. Now, there's a water fountain in it, and let me try to get so I went and, this is a picture I took of the water fountain inside the conference center. Now, if you look at that, that looks like the Venus with little plasmas coming out, a red that is Mars, and Saturn has multiple colors, one being white and yellow or gold are the 3 most common, and that's what you got right there. You got the 3. Now, here is the little icon for that symbols of an ancient alien sky I just told you to watch. There is the water fountain in the LDS Conference Center.
Yep.
You can't tell me there's something there. Well, I guess you could, but I wouldn't believe you.
Yeah.
Something's there. Now, I do agree. It does not necessarily mean anything because the church is in apostasy. But I do believe the symbols are correct, but I do believe they're using it incorrectly. But anyways, that's a whole nother subject. In fact, I may have, let me see if I have saved this. If not, we can go get them. Oh, here's one. I mean, ex-Mason, not a Mason anymore, but I just find that, look at the planets and their compass and square. Anyways, it can be used for good and bad. I'm trying to find, do I have one on? Oh, here's, so here's one I took from some graffiti here in Argentina. So if you draw a circle right there, that's Saturn, right?
Yeah.
You take it off, now you got a satellite. I mean, a spaceship. I said the wrong thing. That's a spaceship.
Yeah.
If you watch movies, they put Saturn, because Hollywood pushes bad stuff, right? I think we both agree on that. They put Saturn all over the place. It's because ancient sun worship is based off of the ancient dark sun, which is Saturn.
Yeah.
Oh, here's another spot of it. See, there's the little alien, which they're trying to push nowadays that they're going to use to deceive people. But anyways, I just find it interesting. Spaceships that they put on for the deception that they're going to be pushing on us looks like Saturn.
Yep. Kind of like there's been a plan for a while.
Oh yeah, they're promoting their plan. But right now I'm trying to find Peter's Square. I know. Oh, okay. Here's something. This is, I'm getting a little sidetracked. So this was a toy that someone gave my first son when he was a baby.
Yeah.
Mars, Venus, plasma between them. No, okay, look, Windows. This stuff, it's all over. Windows, default icon. Does that look familiar, what we just kind of saw?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's everywhere. So, is it?
You're really going to like those other videos talking about Mazzaroth because he goes into the symbols that they use for each of the planets and what they mean.
Oh, I'll like that.
You're going to trip out. It's so awesome. Like what a half circle, what a full circle, what a square sign means, like all that.
Yeah, I like meanings. So, Anthony is the one that kind of saw these symbols, but although he told people he knew what they meant, he told me he didn't. He just knew they were there. He didn't know what they meant. So either he was lying to me or lying to the public. You'll have to go make a judgment basis on that. But I don't think he was lying to me. But either way, he lied to someone. But I'm trying to find, I originally was trying to find St. Peter's Square. And, oh yeah, here's the Saturn, right? See that? The rings, the Saturn. In fact, Lord of the Rings, Saturn's rings, it's all over the place when you know what to look for.
Yeah.
Look, Superman. Do you see it?
Oh, interesting.
It's a polar configuration. I may have a picture of Transformers. It's in Transformers too. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Turnabouts. They go about counterclockwise all around the whole world. They go counterclockwise. Here, I'll give you a little post where I talk about the direction a little bit. You can read later. Um, the bow and the harp. I talk about it in there. Um, the direction is very interesting. I should do more on this subject, but I care about more other subjects more than this one, but this has a lot of stuff. So I'm not seeing St. Peter's Square here. Oh, so 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 do you know the black cube represents Saturn?
No.
Oh boy, here, I'll sidetrack on this a little bit. The North Pole of Saturn is a hexagon. A hexagon is a 2D image of a 3D cube.
Huh.
Yeah. So, and then in addition, let's get back to this picture real quick. Guess what direction they go around this? Counterclockwise. And they're worshiping the cube. They're worshiping Saturn.
What is that picture?
Huh?
What is that picture?
It's Mecca, where the Muslims, the Islams go to that's their holy place that they have to go to once a year.
Wow, I didn't even recognize it.
No, it's probably good that you didn't. It's not a good thing. So Orthodox Jews have a tradition of wearing a black cube on their forehead. The Orthodox Jews proof text Torah to push their Babylonian false traditions, their black cube. It's not good for the Jews and bad for Islam. It's just bad. Black cube. It's Saturn worship.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So enough with the Saturn. Let's go do St. Peter's Square. There we go. There's a good one. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
The circle and the triangle coming out.
Yeah,
it's not the best picture, but there's the circle and the triangle. It looks like a key. St. Peter's Square. Partly it looks like a key because they claim Peter, they get the keys from Peter. And we can talk about keys. That's a whole nother subject. It's not what people claim it is. Anyways.
Right. I don't know if you've talked about it, but I understand the concept of what a true key is.
But if you look, that looks like the circle and the triangle, which is where the key figure kind of based off of, that where you put the key into. Now, I think the best place to do this is Google Maps.
Okay, Stephen.
I can probably get it from Bing Maps.
Did you hear me?
No, sorry. What?
I only have like 15 more minutes. I can't stay very long today.
Oh, okay. So let's hurry. I'll show you this one. We're gonna go look at the mall.
Mm-hmm.
City Creek Mall.
Yeah, I have some thoughts about that place.
Oh, it's bad. But anyways, I'm gonna show you. It has the same image that St. Peter's Square has.
Yep.
It's patterned off to something. But anyways, City Creek. All right. How do we? Uh-oh. Okay. That one? Is it that one? I want to get the picture. Ah, there we go. I mean, it's not quite as clear, but look, the circle, and right there kind of looks like a triangle, or right there. So it's not as clear as St. Peter's Square.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, that circle. I've walked around that circle. Oh, but look, oh, right here, there's the square. In fact, this may be controversial, but squaring the circle is an occult practice. And here, I just saw this one now. Look, there's circle and the square. In fact, I've walked around that and I never noticed that until right now talking to you. And look, there's another square. Were you going to say something?
Oh, I agree with you that's, there's a lot of not good.
Yeah, it's an occult practice to put shapes inside of other shapes. The Melchizedek square, where it's square inside the square, that's not Melchizedek. And I've seen, now, I like Rod Meldrum. Okay, he's a good guy, but he is a bit of an apologist for the LDS Church when goes a little too far on that. On Heartland, I completely agree with him on that. But on one of his Heartland tours that he's recorded and I've watched, there's an octagon at one of these locations, but he calls it Melchizedek's star. I forget the official name of it, but I think you know what I'm talking about. I can look it up if you want. But it's not that, because when you look at it, it's an octagon. It's not an 8-sided star.
Yeah.
And so he's seeing what is not there. He's proof imaging. Does that make sense? Instead of proof texting, it's proof imaging. It's not a star at that location. It is an octagon. And now here's something I've wondered, and I don't know the answer because I have lots of things I want to research. Stop signs. So when he shows that location that he claims is the Melchizedek's square or star, I forget the official name.
Yeah.
It's a stopping point. They have to stop. And it's an octagon. Stop signs are octagons. I don't know if that's an accident or purpose. Does that make sense? Because in that region that in the plant, everybody had to stop there. He says that. And it's an octagon. Octagons are stop signs. Where'd that come from?
Yeah.
I think there's an ancient source that they're both getting that from. I just don't know what it is. Because I doubt that's a coincidence. Now the 48 that I talked about, the weeks and the constellation, that might be a coincidence. I don't think the octagon is in this case, because they're both context of stop. Right? Anyways.
That'd be a cool thing to look up.
Yeah, it's on one of my many to-do lists.
Awesome.
Anyways, I don't know where to go after that. Sorry.
No, that was really cool. So I copied a lot of things to go and research. I've got a lot of fun learning to do. Stephen, thank you for sharing.
Oh, well, thanks for coming. Sorry you have to go. Hopefully you can come again.
Yeah, it's really good. And I really am so excited to learn more about, the original understanding of what we had in Sky.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe we can help each other on that, because I'm kind of a newbie on that. And you're kind of, I've kind of known of it before, but it's always been the Zodiac, or as in, the astrology stuff. And I wasn't into astrology, and I didn't really have a very good feeling on it. I mean, I'll admit, I looked at it when I had some girls that I thought were cute, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if I'm compatible. But other than that, I didn't do anything with it. But now I know better, so I won't even do that. But of course I wouldn't do it because I'm married now. So anyways, you get the picture.
Yeah, I think there's great value. But it's kind of like you were saying, like there's so much to learn, and this is a knowledge that used to be cultural, that everyone knew this.
Yeah.
and then it's lost. And so to try, it's that slightly intimidating. Okay, there were generations of people that grew up knowing this, and then now we're looking back saying this knowledge has been there the whole time, but it's not super accessible, and not everybody else is even willing to look at it. But
Oh yeah, most people just want quote unquote truth, or their nice little quotes that make them feel like what they're doing is what they should. They don't want any more truth beyond that. They just want some comfortable statements, couplets that make them feel like they're okay.
Yeah.
Most people really don't want to repent, and that's
Yeah, which is, interesting how that works. I was going to ask you, let me grab it really fast. I got a book from a friend, and he had a section. So I was glancing at this book, and supposedly he's coming out with a new edition.
okay.
Sorry, my little squeaky. But it had some really interesting things in here. Have you heard of David M. Clark?
Not off the top of my head.
So the title of the book is Without Faith, It is Impossible to Please God. And he goes through, and I think you'd like his tone. He's really talking about the value of studying the lectures on faith and really
I like that, because I believe the lectures on faith.
Yeah, and his tone is very much saying, if you're looking for something that's just going to hand it to you, spoon feed it to you, close the book and leave.
Oh yeah.
But if you want something that's going to inspire you to go read the actual scriptures some more,
No. In fact, to go along with that, I've studied learning, and passive learners, quote unquote, with your stuff that you're into, with you probably are aware what that means, right?
Yes, I am.
They don't learn. It just in and out.
It's
the learners are the aggressive learners, people who are asking questions and are trying to apply it. In fact, even memory, the ways that schools does, and I'm probably preaching to the choir with your background, right? But the way that school does testing, it actually is encouraging forgetting. The way to better do it is continually doing it, and not just memorize it all at once and do a little here, do a little there. And then after you've possibly forgotten a little bit, then do the questions, because then that seeking and trying to retrieve the information on a regular basis and try to use it is what makes you remember it, not reading it over and over and over. It's application that makes you remember, not just reading it. Hence, also this goes into a thing that I know you'd like, the difference between Greek learning and Hebrew learning. Greek is just read it, you're done with it. Hebrew is you do it. Heeding
100%.
is listen and obey, which
Preach
is
it, brother.
do. Anyways.
That's awesome. Well, and you were talking about how there is the method of you're around it and it's familiar and you get these pieces and then you check to see if you have it. But also that highest level, I think, is actually very similar to what we're taught about how to receive answers, faith, knowledge, is when we go to God with that broken heart, that almost desperation of, I do not have this on my own, but I need it. So if you ask for a spiritual gift, meh. But if you are trying to do something or trying to find an understanding and trying to look at it from God's perspective and learn from Him directly because you want to serve Him or honor Him, it seems like that's more the situation where, because you're in that, I'm ready to apply, I'm fully willing to submit or sacrifice or do, but I want to do it for you in your way, then God will allow you to receive the actual knowledge and the actual strength to proceed.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing if you're learning something simple with math, of if you're in a moment where you're saying, oh, I want to get through this problem because it's in my life and it's real. Like I need to be able to solve this thing that I deal with every day. Now all of a sudden you have the motivation, the humble nature, the open-mindedness, the the commitment to doing it correctly because it matters, and you can actually learn something. So
Yeah. In fact, I think to go along with that, Yahweh rewards those who diligently seek after him. And part of diligently is the doing, not just coming to him with our lips, but coming with him with our hearts.
that's right.
It's
We
all
realize that we
over.
cannot do it alone.
The,
That's awesome.
the Hebrew language is a language of images. It's
Mm-hmm.
all over the place. It's the images and the concepts. It's not necessarily, like, the Greeks love to be technical, the Hellenistic. It's this, or this. Where the Hebrew, it's imagery and the feelings and everything that goes along with it. It's not just the one part. And a lot of these statements and sayings are so related together when you look at their core, and then it's just they brought it out in a slightly different image, or medium, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It's awesome.
And that also helps us remember more, because when we can see that from different angles,
Yeah.
it helps us do more of the applying too. So you may like there's a section in my Bishops or Judges of Israel post that you may like, and I bring out why God doesn't just give us the commandments all at once. Well, he kind of does and kind of doesn't. He gives us the 10, they broke it, and then God helps them understand the 10 more, and says, okay, this is where you got this part of this wrong. Let me help you out with that a little bit more. And it's mixed, and it's given to us in the stories because the stories stick with us. I don't know how much you've studied memory, but raw memory or just raw memorization is hard. It's hard. What is easy to remember is when it's connected with feelings and emotions and sights and smells and all the senses. That's when the more interconnected everything is, the easier you are to retrieve it and remember it and do it.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Anyways.
Well, Stephen, I think that's a great spot to
Okay.
say adieu. Thank you for sharing your good stuff. I love it. I hope you have a wonderful Sabbath day.
You too.
I'll talk to you later.
All right. Take care.
Bye.